Marvel Rivals patch 2.5 is finally here, and there are a ton of heroes that got massively better after many of the buffs in the new season patch. That's why in this video, we're going to break down the 10 best winners from DPS, tank, and support, so you know exactly what are the best new upcoming characters that will dominate in this new mid-season, and you should consider maining. Now, a lot of people have been struggling this season more than most, and that's why the Marvel Rivals Academy is here to help. We've helped so many players climb to all-time highs with our in-house scrim system with Coach Scrims that will give you guided advice after every single match, consistent classes and resources provided by many of the top coaches, and we also have a thriving community that is very active and always looking for people to play with. And the best part is 30 days are completely free, so there's actually no risk. Check it out, see if you like it. I can't wait to see you there. Now, the first hero that is a massive winner in the new patch has to be Punisher. And it's not all great for Punisher. Punisher did lose his team up with Rocket, which was definitely a very powerful team up, especially against characters like Groot, where you could just mow down walls and get a lot of burst damage out. That being said, these buffs more than make up for it and make Punisher a crazy threat now. Punisher is getting a health increase, a massive bonus increase because he's an anchor, another increase to his primary, increase in magazine size, and less spread, so you're gonna be more dangerous and able to beam enemies faster time to kill, and then you have less penalties with movement with your ultimate. And all this combined just makes Punisher insane. I played Punisher quite a bit in the NDA playtest, and Punisher is just beaming people left and right. This character is so much more powerful in more situations than he was before, and that extra bit of survivability really helps, I think, to Punisher especially. He has a pretty big hitbox, so being able to survive little chunks of damage, random AoE damage, or dives are really important on the character, and also just being less reliant on a rocket timing the synergy perfectly with you, I think, is also good for the character. And overall, the meta that we're moving to is a more poke-oriented meta, and Punisher is going to fit right along with that strength, with that power level. You're going to be able to beam down flyers. You're going to be able to contest other DPS in pretty fair engagements. I do think that the only true character that Punisher is going to be most worried about is going to be Hawkeye, of course, because he can one-shot you and you can't kill him fast enough, but a Punisher that can whittle down enemy resources, grind tanks to an halt, has flexibility to push people with a shotgun, or deny enemy divers or tanks when they engage. There's a lot of great things about Punisher, and I do think that if you're someone that likes to aim, then you're gonna love Punisher this season. This is gonna be the best season we've seen for Punisher in quite some time. That being said, there is one character that I think really holds Punishers back, and Punishers need to game plan around, and that's a Magneto, a good Magneto. And Magneto's gonna be probably the most played tank this season. So you gotta be really aware of when that Magneto has ult, because when you pop your ult, a Magneto throws it back at you and you're just freaking dead. So you need to make sure that you are either, you know, playing a certain sort of cover. Maybe you grab a rocket boost so you can jump up and over it. Maybe you call for a bubble, or you have a teammate shield you like an invisible woman. There's a lot of ways to play around it, but you can't just pop it randomly knowing that he has it. I promise you, you're gonna get farmed by Magnetos a lot this season if you're not careful. And I think that's one of the most interesting matchups going into this season, this mid-season, is the matchup between Punishers and Magnetos and the mind games there. How can you get the leg up? That's going to be the trick if you want to succeed. Now, we just talked about Magneto. He's definitely our second winner in this new patch. I think Magneto is going to be one of the best characters in the entire patch and the best tank, pretty much period. Magneto was already a top 3 with Emma and Groot in the previous patch, but with both those characters receiving pretty substantial nerfs and Magneto receiving a buff and just overall poke being better, Magneto is going to be just better than he's ever been. He's going to be really, really great this season. Now, one of the things that you need to understand about playing Magneto in poke mirrors, when both teams have, let's say, double shield, strange Magneto, you're trading blows, you're trying to create an advantage. As a Magneto, it's not your job to whittle down the enemy front line. You're not poking the strange, the enemy Magneto, the Groot. What you're trying to do is put pressure on squishy characters. You're trying to put pressure on characters like Hawkeye, characters like Hela. You're trying to push up to these off angles and deny them these angles, because you got to think about it this way. These characters, if they get to stay in the positions they want to be in, they're going to threaten your team all the time. A Hawkeye that just gets to hold a really strong angle will constantly threaten your team. You as Magneto have the capability to force him off those angles, and your damage goes a lot further on a character that actually cares about your damage, because they could die to your damage, not the front line that's just going to get healed and wiped away. This doesn't mean you never focus tanks, by the way, if they're out of position or in your backline, of course, but most of your neutral play is going to be shooting at DPS and forcing them off angles so that they're not threatening your team, and then applying pressure to supports and other characters in the mid fight, trying to burst them down with primary, alternate, primary, and just kill them out of nowhere. Now, Magneto's ultimate is also one of the most important things in this meta. Not only can you kill defensive ultimates like Invisible Woman if you make sure that you know when she uses her jump, but you can also deny partial Star-Lord ultimates and then kill someone with it, entire Punisher ultimates, and then just killing the Punisher or someone else in the process. And in general, Magneto ultimate is really difficult to use at times when people play around it, but if you can find ways to still get value with your Magneto ultimate, even when something goes wrong, you know, your initial target gets bubbled, they use Loki lamps or whatever, you're still trying to squeeze out whatever value you can get from it. That could be how you carry games and easily climb on Magneto, and it's something that a lot of Magneto players, myself included, need to work on. And number 3 is going to be the best support this season, and it's not even close. It's Luna Snow, who did get a nerf to her ultimate, but that's going to be basically wiped away by the increase in damage and heal on her primary. And Luna, a top 2, top 3 support previously, now just has more damage output. I mean, a crazy amount of damage. Luna Snow is going to be able to win 1v1s with DPS players. She's going to be able to heal a crazy amount. And now that when you freeze a target, you're going to get a burst of healing as well. This means that it's just harder to dive Luna, and she was already kind of difficult to dive before with 275. I think all of this kind of comes together to just show Luna as the best support, and she's actually almost too strong to the point where I would imagine this character gets banned a giant percentage, especially because of the team up with Hawkeye, which we'll talk about in a second. Luna Snow is just a monster right now, and I think that if ever Luna Snow is through the cracks, a good Luna Snow can carry their team and just have such a high impact on the game. And oftentimes, if Luna Snow goes unbanned, it's going to be whichever Luna is the better Luna is going to give your team a massive, massive advantage. That being said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be like ban target number 1 going into the mid-season patch. But that is in large part to the 4th big winner on this list, Hawkeye. And Hawkeye did receive a lot of changes, and some of them are kind of complex and hard to decipher. And something that's interesting that a lot of people don't know is that Hawkeye actually lost his ultimate combo, his 250 HP combo, where he pops his ultimate, hits someone with his E or his cone ability, it one-shots them before, because it would do enough to, you know, it would do 125 per side, right? And it hits him twice. That's no longer the case anymore. Like, he doesn't have that combo. And while he can get up his bow charge quicker, like, not having that combo is a pretty big deal. However, it doesn't hold a candle to the Luna Snow synergy that is just crazy. I'm sure you've seen the clips going around. Hawkeye can freeze you through walls. He can freeze you through your shield. He can just freeze you across the map and headshot you without even charging it up, and kills almost every squishy in the game with that follow-up shot. Hawkeye is insane, and that new synergy works so well in the poke meta that we're walking into. It's gonna mean that every 20 seconds when he has the synergy, he can make a play or generate a pick, which is just absurd, in addition to the rest of his kit that's really, really strong and works very well in long distance trading of damage. Poke compositions, like I said, it's gonna be very popular. So Hawkeye is gonna be nuts. And right now, one of the best weaknesses to Hawkeye is that he's diveable, but with dive nerfed more than ever, I do think that Hawkeye is gonna thrive a lot. But really, that Luna Snow synergy is what puts it completely over the edge. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Luna Snow especially is going to be targeted with the ban, because not only do you get to hit her, who is in her strongest state, but you also get to hit Hawkeye, that synergy. And without that synergy, I do think that there's other more competitive pokes that you can play. Hawkeye can still be good in the right hands, but he's not going to be more busted than he is right now. He's just going to be good, but he really is insane with that Luna Snow synergy. I just cannot express enough how powerful that synergy is, because it's just so freaking strong. Now, something that a lot of people underrate about Hawkeye, though, is Hawkeye is actually very mechanically demanding. You need really good aim to fully utilize what Hawkeye is capable of, and I do think that practicing Hawkeye mechanically is something pretty unique to him. The rhythm, the rate of fire, the projectile speed, all that is stuff you have to kind of learn. So if you want to grind Hawkeye, you want to get good at Hawkeye, I think this is the meta for it. It's just going to take a lot of time and effort to get specifically mechanically good at Hawkeye. But like I said, he is stronger now than he's been in a long, long time, and I would highly recommend it. Then number 5, we have our second tank, Doctor Strange. Now, with more overall damage to his primary, and now no more fall off on Maelstrom of Madness, his E ability, Doctor Strange is back to former glory somewhat. I do think that he's not as strong as he was in the past in Season 0 and early Season 1, but he definitely is a lot stronger than he was in the previous patch, and this is really once again emphasizing the meta that we're moving to, which is a poke meta, and a meta where I imagine we will see a lot more Doctor Strange Magnetos together played with each other in double shield compositions. Now, we played these games before. This is a meta that we've been in multiple times, and I do think that Doctor Strange finally is in a strong enough state that he's gonna see substantial play in this new patch. Now, Doctor Strange isn't gonna be crazy dominant. He doesn't have the gamma synergy, you know, that he had in Zero, and I do think that relative to him, Magneto in the head-to-head is gonna be a bit better. So I imagine a situation where you're playing Strange with Magneto, or you're playing Strange for some other specific reason, like a team up with Scarlet Witch, or because he has the ability to take the high ground. I think there's some maps where being able to take your main tank up to the high ground to clear it is super freaking strong, because there's a lot of perches and places where people can just sit up. Magneto can't really do anything about that. Strange can. So there are going to be some particular instances there that I think Strange kind of gets the leg up against Magneto. But for the most part, Magneto is going to be better. And unless you're playing them both, I think Magneto wins the head-to-head. But still, Strange is better than ever, capable of being just picked in compositions and thriving. And of course, every single player should know how to play Strange, at least to an extent, because you never know when you're the one that needs to port back, right? If you're the first dead in a team fight that is the final team fight, you need to be the one to port back. It doesn't matter if you're a tank, it doesn't matter if you're a DPS or a support. Everyone should know that that's what they're supposed to do, and everyone should know how to play Strange. So yeah, pick up Strange. It's a great season for him, better than he's been in quite some time, and you need to know him anyway, so come on. The number 6 is a winner that didn't receive any direct changes, but that doesn't matter because this character was almost too strong before, and it's still going to be very strong, and it's Loki. Loki was a top 2, top 3 support in the previous patch, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Loki is still really, really strong. Managed to escape nerfs and is going to be even better in a world where Hela is dominating, getting free reses. I think Hela is going to be a character that is going to be played a ton. I didn't even include her on this list because, I mean, come on. Hela, of course, is going to be super dominant in the next patch. And Loki getting free resurrects is amazing. Loki being able to poke very well is amazing. And Loki's a character that the community has slowly figured out what his potential is. Like, he just plays so well in so many compositions, provides so much utility with his totems, his teleport, his invis. It's really hard to kill him. He puts in a lot of damage. Loki's just get to do so much to impact a game. Now, something that's interesting about Loki is that Loki plays best in both a dive composition and a poke composition. So when he's putting himself in an aggressive position to deal damage with the dive and heal his dive, that is really good, and Loki can do that. He can play really strange positions, aggressive positions that other supports can't play. And then in a poke composition, he can take off angles with his DPS. He can help his Hawkeye or Hela get a pick on an angle and hold that angle and apply pressure himself on these angles to generate picks and pressure. And specifically in Brawl, that's the composition he is worst in because he doesn't have a ton of raw healing amounts. You know, when your Groot is at 1 HP, you don't want to have to burn Totem to bring him back to full, but other supports can do it. Loki can't do it as much. Now, he can still play in Brawls just fine, and he has in the past. It's just in ranked play, Loki is going to be best in the other two compositions, and specifically with poke composition, Loki just gets to be free. He oftentimes just gets to go where he wants to go, apply pressure where he wants to apply pressure, and honestly just tries to create unfair advantages over the course of the battlefield for his DPS. And I mean, come on, it's Loki. If there's any character that wants to not play fair, he's the perfect one. Then number 7 is a character you might not expect. It's Black Widow as a hero that will be undoubtedly stronger this season than she's ever been. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but the biggest reason has to do with that synergy. Now she has it with Punisher where she gets to whip out a railgun that she can kind of cancel with her primary, so she can do it as like an extension of damage. And it gets to fire over and over again through multiple enemies. And it's like a single fire mid-range burst damage that isn't necessarily going to instantly kill people, but it's going to do a ton of damage. It can finish people off. If you body shot someone or get someone low, you can use it to finish people off. And the thing that's crazy about it is it's on a really small cooldown. So you're going to be able to use it all the time. And this just makes Black Widow a more consistent threat, where not only does she just play well into a poke meta where she actually can make freaking Hawkeyes and Hellas scared because she can fight them outside of their effective range, but now she has something that kind of brings more reliability to her kit. I think Black Widow had some highs and lows where you're either hitting heads and popping off and carrying, or you're not hitting consistent shots or only body shots or whatever, and you're not able to confirm enough kills to make her worth it. This bridges the gap. This synergy really bridges the gap, and it just makes it worth it for Black Widow to consistently see play. I can see a world where Punisher is whittling people down, Black Widow is body shotting people and then finishing them off with railgun. I think on certain maps, especially the further distance maps, Black Widows can be an absolute menace and a character that I'm a bit afraid to face, especially in a world where dive is harder to play than ever. So yeah, don't sleep on Black Widow, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the season where she really makes a dent and is one of the better DPS in the game. The number 8 is our next tank, The Thing. And this is a character that actually did suffer in 2.0. He didn't perform all that well with a whole bunch of flying characters around and the inability to brawl the front line nearly as much. He was a great anti-dive character, but other than that, he didn't see a ton of play. But that's actually not where The Thing thrives the best at. People think of The Thing as just this anti-diver, but he's really a brawler, and the comp that he wants to brawl the most is actually double shield. He's really, really good against Doctor Strange, against Magneto. When people are clumped together behind shields, he cleaves straight through them, and he's super good at it. And that's one of the many reasons why The Thing can dominate metas where there is a giant amount of Strange and Magneto play. And as we move away from the previous meta and go to a more front-to-back meta, I think a Thing paired with a Magneto can be amazing as a way to create a lot of pressure on the front line, really dig deep into their composition, disrupt, and then jump back to your team. And another way to think about it is that The Thing is bad against flyers, and there's going to be less of those. The Thing is bad against Groot, and he got nerfed. And The Thing is bad against the Punisher Rocket team-up, which no longer exists. Like, there's a lot of things that The Thing had to really worry about that he just no longer has to anymore. And the meta that we're moving to is a meta that The Thing can specifically feast upon. I think it's going to be a really great anti-meta strategy. Not going to be the most popular thing, but with people that know and people that know how to play him, they're really going to be able to take advantage of his strengths in this season in particular. The number 9 is a hero that didn't receive any direct hero changes, but did receive a small change to her synergy. It's Invisible Woman. Now the synergy is weaker, but her core kit is the same. And I'm here to tell you that Invisible Woman is going to be amazing in 2.5 for a number of reasons. But the main thing that we have learned over time with Invisible Woman is how she breaks the parity of DPS duels. She can give your flyers a shield constantly. She can give your Hela or your Hawkeye a shield on an off angle. She can pull enemy DPS out of position. And basically, she's constantly poking and prodding over a battlefield to create advantage. And this is one of the things I often cite as what a support should try to do. And Invisible Woman does that better than almost anyone. And being able to place a shield on a DPS just really completely changes how the duel is played and gives your team such a massive advantage. I'm sure DPS players can tell you that when they're fighting another DPS that is getting pocketed by Invisible Woman, it feels actually impossible. And most of the time, that one DPS will be able to kill another DPS, kill another DPS, and then just be left completely uncontested. Like an Invisible Woman plus a DPS combined just becomes a force that requires teamwork to deal with. And you're not going to get that, like, a lot. And you as an Invisible Woman can just create that by yourself. You can play in a duo, but you don't need it. You can just decide, hey, I'm going to pick this DPS on my team, and I'm going to give them a ton of resources. I'm not just going to throw my shield around. I'm going to put it on this person as much as possible so that they just become a huge problem for the enemy team that is very difficult to solve. And then I'm also going to throw in seeds of disruption here and there. I'm going to grab them, pull them closer to my team, pull them out of position, push them out of the angle, push them out of the cover. There's so much stuff you could do on this character that I think is really great. That being said, for Invisible Women to thrive in this season in particular, or this patch in particular, you need to find ways to position more offensively and use your invisibility to get out of tricky situations, because you're not going to want to always just sit back with the clump of your team. I do think that playing a bit more aggressive in a slight off angle, allowing you to make some more of these plays, is going to be important, because the raw damage amount oftentimes is going to be less. Your team isn't going to always need you to constantly heal them but they do need you to help create plays. Remember, in a poke meta, it's not just about the damage, it's about trying to create positional advantage and create advantage for your team to get picks on the enemy team. So this is less to do with trying to just heal a bucket like in Brawl, where both teams are just clashing into each other and you just want to fill up the bucket constantly. That's not how poke plays out. You need to find ways to be proactive, create advantages, create picks for your team, and that's how you're going to carry on Invisible Woman. Now, the last hero that's a big winner in this patch is a character I've actually been thinking has been slept on for a while. It's Storm. I think Storm is just a really, really great flyer and plays super well in a poke comp because she enables her entire team to do more damage. So when you're playing characters like Punisher and you're playing other supports that are throwing out damage as well, and you're playing poke tanks, and you have a Storm that can kind of play a little low to the ground, still around some pieces of cover, but enables your whole team to do a bit more damage, that over the course of a fight is going to get you a massive, massive advantage. Because one of the things a lot of people don't understand about poke is that it's a really slow composition, especially in the mirror. You're not just trying to fight really fast. You're trying to slowly poke and prod and create advantage, force out resources in a favorable way, and force people out of position to get picks, right? This is all kind of like a slow grind, right? And Storm fits that better than any character because she's the only character that enables her whole team. And then also individually, she's chucking a crazy amount of damage. Also, she has an ultimate that is incredibly powerful and consistent. And I think all of these things just combined just make Storm really, really good right now. Not to mention they did give her a slight buff. That's not going to be the most important thing, the slight buff to her ultimate, but just in general, I think that Storm is just really well positioned as a flyer that doesn't really necessarily need to play skybox or go for these isolated plays. A flyer that is a team enabler that is trying to create advantages for the entire team. Really, really great spot. And Storm has consistently had a very high win rate across all ranks and has been really underplayed relative to that. So I think this is the season that she can really shine, and I actually super recommend her if you're looking for a DPS that is a little bit outside of what other people normally play. Just make sure that you're playing really tight to cover. You can't play in the open for too long up against these Punishers and these Hellas, and you're going to be just fine. Let me know down below if you want to see a Storm guide. I've been meaning to write one, but yeah, this is my full 10 best winners in patch 2.5. Let me know if there's any hero you think I missed, and let me know if there's anything that you want to know about how to play your hero in this new season. I'll give you some insight in the comments down below. Thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my stream down below as well if you want to come say hi and see me test some of the new characters, and I'll see you next time.